Something meaningful happened at FDA this week. PCAC gave favorable recommendations to BPC 157, KPV, TB 500 MOTC, SE Max, and EDPTL-LON. What matters to me as a physician is not peptide hype. It is the possibility of moving this care away from mystery products and anonymous websites and toward tested ingredients, qualified pharmacies, real prescriptions, and clinical follow up. This is not FDA approval, and nothing changes overnight. But the door opened. In our clinical work, BPC 157 and TB 500 are two of the workhorses we think about for selected injury recovery plans. If someone is dealing with a stubborn tendon, ligament, or muscle problem, or trying to recover well after a procedure, BPC 157 often enters the conversation. It also has a separate lane in selected patients where intestinal barrier dysfunction is part of a genuinely inflammatory gut picture. KPV is tiny, just lysine, proline, and valine, but clinically it occupies a very focused niche. I think about it when the problem looks inflammatory, an appropriately evaluated intestinal condition, not simply occasional bloating or selected inflammatory skin issues. Its biology around NFKB signaling and uptake into inflamed tissue helps explain why those are the settings that interest us. TB500 is the other recovery workhorse, where BPC 157 is often discussed around repair signaling and tissue organization. TB500 brings cell migration, inflammation resolution, and new vessel formation into the picture. That can be relevant in selected soft tissue injuries and post-surgical recovery. FDA still needs to clarify exactly which molecule the TB500 name will cover within the thymosin beta repair family. MOTS-C belongs in a completely different conversation. This is about how the body senses and uses fuel. The patients who make me consider it are selected people with insulin resistance, poor metabolic flexibility, deconditioning, exercise intolerance, or declining physical reserve with age. I view it as a potential metabolic signal that may support a plan, not as a substitute for strength training, movement, sleep, or nutrition. Cmax is not something I think of as a generic productivity shortcut. It becomes interesting when a patient describes persistent brain fog, difficulty sustaining focus, reduced motivation, working memory concerns, or a cognitive recovery goal. Its relationship to BDNF, neuroplasticity, and dopamine and serotonin signaling gives us a biologic rationale, but that conversation still begins with a proper neurologic and medical evaluation. Epi-Elon is about timing as much as aging. I think about the patient whose circadian rhythm is clearly disrupted, whose sleep timing remains unstable, or whose broader healthy aging plan needs a more deliberate look at biological rhythm. Because epoetalon is also discussed around telomerase, a history of malignancy and individual cancer risk have to be screened thoughtfully. The formal evidence is not identical for all six peptides or every way clinicians use them, but years of supervised physician experience and favorable outcomes reported across many patients are also meaningful. They are not the same as controlled trials, but they should not be treated as if they count for nothing. The committee's recommendation is one step. FDA now has to decide whether to propose a rule, take public comment, and eventually issue a final rule. Until that process happens, the legal and compounding status has not changed. My hope is straightforward: fewer unverified gray market products and more legitimate access built around physician judgment, quality control sourcing, and follow up. A larger legitimate supply could improve pricing too. We are not there yet, but these votes moved us closer. I'm Dr. Shubham Gupta. Thanks for watching.